We are going through the passing era of the NFL. It's a quarterback-driven league. Just ask anybody. Watch the games and you know. But how does that affect your fantasy football teams? Here at PFW fantasy expert Mike Wilkening, and we know it's time for those fantasy football drafts. So are you going to go old school? Are you still going to draft those 2 running backs in those first 2 rounds? Or is it time to jump on board and realize it's a quarterback and top wide receiver-driven league and get that signal caller and wide out early on?
I think it's one of the toughest questions fantasy owners have to deal with this year, because the scarcity of top talent at running back drives up the value of every running back that you might consider early in drafts. And you are being put to a decision, I think, early on guys that might not be first-round profile type guys in past years, and now you're having to consider them earlier and earlier, because you've got to draft 2 to fill out that roster, and there are only so many good backs. I'm a guy that I want blue chip talent on my team. I'm not necessarily worried about positions per se, but I've got to tell you, this is a tough year to be looking for running backs. I feel strongly really about 3 guys: Ray Rice, LaShawn McCoy, and Arian Foster. That's about it with regards to what I like at that position. So after that, it's going to be a lot of head scratching.
Yeah, the next tier, you got guys like Ryan Matthews, Maurice Jones-Drew, Matt Forte to be kind of the next backs, taking maybe Darren McFadden as well in that group. And you look at those quarterbacks, Mike, when you look at the top 3, Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers, and you can kind of mix that order. You know, those 3 guys, and then even later on Stafford and Newton, should those 5 kind of take precedent if they're on the board before running back, because they can put up so many points week in and week out?
If you're convinced those guys are the top difference makers at the position, and particularly I think Stafford and Newton are the guys that maybe are the tougher calls, because I think Rodgers is going to come off the board early. Certainly Brady, I mean, blue chip stock, you know what you're getting there. Breeze as well. So what do you do with Stafford? What do you do with Cam Newton? Me, I treat them like they're first-round picks, because, I mean, Stafford threw for 5,000 yards last year. Newton, look, could he run a little bit less this year? It's possible, but I think you have to consider him as a first-round sort of guy. So yeah, I promote some of those quarterbacks over some of the lower-tier running backs. And I think from my standpoint, in most leagues, I'm going to be looking for blue-chip guys, and if a quarterback is there over a running back, I'm probably going to have to make that decision, because I want to put the best possible team out there. That just means, though, you're going to be rolling the dice in later rounds at running back, which is always a risky thing to do.
Mike, there's different schools of thought when you look at the depth of the positions. You look at quarterback, you can wait and get a Jay Cutler, an Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Tony Romo in some of the mid-rounds, get great value. At running back, there's always a guy that comes up, maybe someone that wasn't even drafted. You find him on the waiver wire. Look at what DeMarco Murray did last season if you want to go get a running back. So it's always a question, but I think you make a good point. Look at the best available players in those first 2 rounds. Kind of ignore the positions and let everything fall as they may. Let us know what you think about this fantasy football strategy. Comment on our YouTube page at youtube.com/ProFootballWeekly.